Alright, this one's time sensitive, people, so I might share this one out. Let's have a look. Basically, alright, so this is not good. And I guess before I start, it's kind of cool when you discover what is happening. It's kind of cool when you discover a suit that you completely forgot about. I went back and had a look, and this one's still got the tags on it, so I was like, that's pretty cool. I thought, why not? I'll wear it, you know? Looks alright. Looks a bit better than my other rags I was wearing. So I thought, for the occasion, you know, for talking about central bank digital currencies, maybe someone else might pick this up. I don't know. But it's not just us as Hexicans noticing this trend. It's not just people in the cryptocurrency space noticing this trend. It's other people. That's right. We are, well, not just yet, but pretty close. Maybe if we can prepare for things, that might be the go-to move. As to what the actual, you know, hedge against it is going to be, some people are talking precious metals. I'm in disagreement with it. I actually think it's going to be cryptocurrencies, because cryptocurrency scares the bejeebers out of the central banks. Things like Hex is probably why. Now, I'll get into why I think the central bank digital currencies are coming soon. It's a lot sooner than anticipated. So some people refer to them as Biden bucks, and from the analyst Jim Rickards again, I find him a great source of information. I pay for the services and I'm sharing it to you guys for free. The reason is basically trying to warn others, and you know, I think where we can, we should be able to help our fellow Hexicans. We have another warning shot across the bow has just happened. As of this morning, I warned you a few weeks ago that the Federal Reserve, in cooperation with giant global banks, have launched a 12-week pilot program to test their message systems and payment processes on the new central bank digital dollar. Now, we'll see here. A pilot project is not research and development. That's already done. So if you have a pilot project, something like, you know, a new food, for example, and you're market researching it, it's not in the stage where they haven't designed what, I don't know, food it is. They've actually already made it. They've got all the ingredients. They put it together. It's in the packaging. They're not sure what the label is going to look like. They're not sure who the, you know, end consumer is, besides someone that eats food. But it's sitting there waiting to go, and that's extremely concerning to me, because the current state of the economy. Now, is it that the current state of the economy, bad things are going to happen and the market's going to tank, and we're going to see, in the middle of all the bloodshed, we're going to see something like, you know, a central bank digital currency rolled out, maybe very stealthily, or maybe out in the open. I'm not sure they play, but the pilot project is not research and development. It's actually done. It's ready. They're using it. The pilot means Biden bucks are here, and the backers just want to test the plumbing before they roll out the system to the entire population. So they've actually put into place the infrastructure. So when you're building a house, you have pipes underneath your slab, and it's not that they're designing it. It's not being engineered. It's not being thought about. The pipes are actually there. The plumbing's been laid. The cement's been poured. It's set in stone. So, yeah. What's next? The project is due to be completed next month. So that's the pilot project. In other words, Biden bucks is getting closer to becoming a reality for us all. But this is based in the US though. Now, what pilot projects are usually followed with, from my experience in business, is after a pilot project is successful and yields good results, they generally roll it out. maybe in different phases or, you know, other stages. But if the pilot stage fails, they do not continue with it. But for it to make it to the pilot stage is very, very time consuming and very difficult to do. It's not an easy thing. That's all good, man. Yeah, I know there's some other streams on and stuff, but so I thought I would just jump on anyway because this is kind of time sensitive. Now there is another big development to keep you up to speed. Just yesterday, the Digital Dollar Project. Now you probably guys might have seen this. It literally came up today. It is from Cointelegraph, I think it was, and it was actually covering the same thing. Someone else on Twitter, Hotep Jesus, covered this like as I was reading this other email, and it was really, really synced up in the way that it was rolled out. I found that fascinating. Now, there is another big development to keep you up to speed. Just yesterday, the Digital Dollar Project released in an updated version of the white paper exploring a US central bank digital currency. The project, hang on, I might need to move this because you guys probably can't see. Well, that's the thing they were talking about the other day. They slowed to action, but that was a article from, you know, from the mainstream media. So maybe that was their talking point, saying, "Oh, it's going to be slow because we're not sure what's going to happen." It's like, meanwhile, the plumbing's laid and they're about to roll it out. So, which is true? The pilot project being completed, or the media saying, "Oh, they're just sort of taking their time. They're just having a look around." I don't know. I don't think some outlets want you to get the jump on what they are doing, because we'll cover that next. The project expanded the paper in order to examine central bank digital currency projects internationally. So it's not just, hang on, I will pull that up. I did open the white paper, so it's like the Bitcoin white paper, but better. It's a central bank digital currency white paper. No. Stay far away from me. It has areas such as, if you can see that, United States, Europe, Asia Pacific, Africa, Americas. There's no Antarctica, but that's pretty much the whole world, you know, I'm sure. Russia's probably not in there. Yeah, anyway. But yeah, so that's what that is. Now back to the email. We have this here. Where'd it go here? Now, basically, in order to examine the central bank digital currency project internationally though its focus is still on the US, since its original white paper released in 2020. So 2020 this was released. Around the same time, I'm not sure what else was happening around 2020, like worldwide. Maybe the debt was getting out of control in certain economies. At the same time, there was the big slowdown. Maybe there was some pandemics going on. Maybe there was a lot of fear and distractions taking place. So at the same time, while that was all going on, that we probably all remember, the white paper was being worked on and released. So maybe that was the planning stage. Maybe that was the engineering stage. But yeah, as I said, the plumbings have been laid now. Yeah, I don't know, man. Do not know. I have to look it up. Which is lie, which is true? That is the question. It's interesting when the media reports, any media reports one thing, and then later on they report the exact opposite. It's like, hang on, which is a lie, which is true? We don't know. Or do we? So, what is the Digital Dollar Project? The Digital Dollar Project was established by the former chairman of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, a US government regulatory agency of the US derivatives market. What's that? CFTC, I'm pretty sure that is. The organization has implemented a variety of pilot projects in conjunction with information technology company Accenture, and its key mission is to promote a US digital currency dollar, Biden bucks. Here's one statement in the updated paper. Now, this is a good one. It is imperative that hey, Gerald Salento just went live. So it is imperative that the US government consider ways to maintain the use of the dollar in digital global payment systems and develop a strategy related to the use of alternative payment systems. Okay, so let's break that down. What does that mean? It goes on to explain alternative payment systems. This means creating Biden bucks and replacing the cash fiat dollar we have now. What does this mean for you? Why am I saying if? It would make your money less truly your own and under government control. Okay, so how you don't like to give up your keys of your cryptocurrency. Well, maybe you're giving up your keys of your fiat, so to say. We are already seeing how many retailers are not accepting cash across America. Here too in Australia, I went to the gym the other day, well, a while ago actually, I haven't been to the gym for a while, and it basically said, we don't accept cash anymore. And I'm like, okay, that's legal? You can just reject people from paying in cash? Their accounting systems don't accept cash. They don't have a physical way to take the asset from you to them. Anyway, what happens when physical cash is eliminated from any payment transactions? Well, it's already happening. Imagine this. To further advance his climate change agenda, what if Joe Biden and his cronies decide that gasoline needs to be rationed? Okay, so this is top analysts talking about this, and it's really quite concerning when top analysts or analysts in general are comparing similar points of data to the Loonberg conspiracy theorists who maybe believe that the moon is made of cheese. I don't know. Maybe they don't. People might have you believe that, but maybe you should actually go and ask them what they think. And they might be talking similar talking points. They might be pulling similar data points as the top analysts. Now, conspiracy theory aside, it's always best to go with facts and data. Was it trust but verify. So what we're doing here is we're having a look, so you need to go out and verify. Now, imagine this. To further advance his climate change agenda, what if Joe Biden and his cronies decide that gasoline needs to be rationed? Your Biden bucks could be made to stop working at the gas pump once you've purchased a certain amount of gasoline in a week. That's one example. How's that for control? Before I add my own spin on it, Biden bucks would create new ways for the government to control how much you can buy of an item, or even restrict purchases. It would keep score of every financial decision you make. Now imagine if you're in a country and there's a shortage of gas, there's a shortage of anything, and you're freezing your ass off, and then the government turns around and says, you can only buy X amount, and you can't hoard, you can't stockpile, because if you do, we can track and trace everything you do because we can see it. And if you do, people might appear at your house, or you might get penalized, or you might lose access to other trinkets that you may need. It's kind of a utopian. Hey, ID, what's happening? No bugs. Man, that's funny. Have you seen all the memes coming out on Twitter? They're like, look what I got, man. I got some eggs. Anyway, imagine if they tell you can't buy chickens because your eggs have to be purchased with the Biden bucks. And without the Biden bucks, you can't have no chickens. You can't have no eggs. Then you see the science saying eggs are bad for you. Hang on. For the longest time, eggs have been good. And now all of a sudden, it's bad. I have one theory. It's absolutely insane. But I was thinking about it the other day. When they make vaccines, they used to make vaccines from eggs. Imagine if there's a worldwide shortage because they're making too many jabs. Anyway, moving on from that theory. In a world of Biden bucks, the government will know In a world of Biden bucks, the government will even know your physical whereabouts at the point of purchase. It kind of already happens now when you pay with a microchip in your credit cards, but it won't be to the level that these Biden bucks will be, I don't think. But then again, who's actually tracking the credit card purchases? I mean, the banks might be if there's a stolen credit card and they're looking for it. I reckon there's going to be delivery. I bet money. Hang on. 1 second stream. No, it's nothing. It's weird. False alarm. All right. So, in the world of Biden bucks, the government will know even your physical whereabouts at the point of your purchase. Oh, imagine if there was an app within your device, like your phone, and the IMEI number, whatever it is, and your IP address, and that's linked to your wallet, so they'll be able to literally track and trace wherever you're going without warrant. That sounds kind of outside the, that doesn't sound lawful to me at all, regardless of your jurisdiction. Anyway, it's a short step from putting you under FBI. Here we go. It's a short step from putting you under FBI investigation if you vote for the wrong candidate or give donations to the wrong political party. Okay. It would also stop you from traveling and doing anything if they didn't want you to. If any of this sounds extreme, fantastical, or otherwise far-fetched, well, it's not. It's funny, these guys always say, you guys, anyone reading this, they may not always agree with these views. So it's very, sometimes not palatable to some people, but anyway, I don't mind it. Look at what's happening around the world. China is already using its central bank digital currency to deny travel and education opportunities to political dissidents. Yes. Canada seized the bank accounts and crypto accounts of non-violent trucker protesters last year. Yes. Nigeria put a cap on ATM cash withdrawals at $45 to promote digital payments. Yes. What else can they do? And they got away with this. That was legal and lawful, apparently. And so were lockdowns and mandates. All legal and lawful, which turned out to be... Science didn't have the data, but it was legal and lawful. Anyway, moving on. Also, social credit scores and political suppression will be even easier to conduct when Biden bucks are completely rolled out in the US. With Biden bucks, the government will be able to force you to comply with its agenda. Because if you don't, they could turn off your money. They're just off. No money. Scary, isn't it? But you can fight back. Okay, this is where I don't agree with this analyst here. But you can fight back. You need a way to sidestep this type of digital dollar and total surveillance state that is coming. A way to protect your freedom and your savings. I agree with that. I agree with the sidestep. That is why the time is to prepare now before it hits. And then it goes into some things that you could do. It might be, say, anyway, these links here. I'll read it. With the Federal Reserve moving toward making Biden bucks reality, alternative forms of currency can protect Americans when physical fiat currency is banned and freedoms are threatened. In this special report, I provide details on gold backs as a form of gold that is not affected by inflation, can provide an alternate to the US dollar as a form of payment and storage and wealth. Anyway, this report includes the different types of gold backs as well as where they can be purchased. So there is some interesting stuff in the newsletter, but I'm not sort of shilling this for that reason, because again, I actually think cryptocurrency should be placed somewhere on this list. But we do have, buy gold, buy silver, buy the silver coins. I think Zimbabwe is being punished at the moment because they're being told by the IMF not to use gold currency, which is very strange because, again, International Monetary Fund, maybe they don't like how they're sort of trying to sidestep their entire system of control upon sovereign nations. Now, we got off-grid portfolio. So it goes on. There was another big newsletter saying literally maybe you might want to get some land, maybe you want to get some farm animals, some chickens that lay eggs, maybe you want to get 6 months supply of storable food. The list went on and on. I'm like, why? I haven't read all that part, and I won't read that one here just yet because I have to get through it myself. But it says here, asset emancipation in the special report rules step-by-step details how to escape the coming surveillance state, including creating off-grid fortune, as well as ensuring you maintain your wealth regardless of external conditions. This report contains survival loopholes that are completely legal and will be your key to keeping your wealth and secure your financial freedom. That was a pretty interesting read. But yeah, that's pretty much the central bank digital currencies are progressing a lot faster than I wanted. Let's show. 2-second stream. Mm. Sorry, there's a bit of delay. I think it blocks my email address now. No, it's okay. No, it's all good. Alright, cool. Sorry, I cut off the top so you couldn't see the actual address. Now, next on the list, some more good news brought to me. We have, this is the white paper they speak of. Where is it? This was linked from Hotev Jesus. As I was saying before, trying to tie in the World Economic Forum meeting at Davos currently going on. A lot of the mainstream media seems to be ignoring this. Now, there's some media outlets that are more, I guess, independent and they're not controlled by their shareholders, so they can cover whatever they want within reason, unless someone like, I don't know, tries to take them out, for example. Just kidding. Now, there's one reporter, Savannah Hernandez. There's RV Yemeni. I'll probably butcher their names, but they're both they're actually getting footage from Davos. It's pretty interesting, so maybe you want to follow them. I don't know, up to you guys. And the reason I covered them was because I think Elon Musk actually replied to RV, and he's based in Australia. I think not South Australia. I think it's Melbourne or Sydney, one of the two. And basically, this is CNBC executives appearing at the World Economic Forum, WEF, Davos. And it's like, why is a media outlet that's supposed to be independent appearing at the World Economic Forum annual summit? And what exactly are they talking about? And why should they be invited, I guess, and others not? Is it some exclusive club that they all go to go and get their... It's very strange occurrences, and Elon maybe is on Elon's radar as well. Basically, the world richest man, apparently appreciative of Rebel News line of questions, directed at top level CNBC official attending the World Economic Forum annual summit. So, if you're listening to only the CNBC like business section, when they're talking about various aspects of the economy, is it a talking point from getting guidance? Are they getting guidance from the World Economic Forum? I mean, you could say there is that potential, because why would you be in the same room as them? If you weren't in the same room as them at all, you couldn't be. There'll be less of an argument to say that you're colluding, or you saw the answers, or you saw what they were talking about. But apparently, that's how our world's run. We got big CNBC executives just chilling with the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab. Then we got that. These are the robots. They don't always work. So we're gonna have robots control us all and take over the world. But then if they're not programmed right, this could happen. So you might need human intervention just for a little bit, Then we had this. So this is as I was reading the email, this article came out from, was it Cointelegraph? And I don't know why it's not appearing here. Basically, what it was, central bank digital currency. And it has a link also to the white paper, so it might be worth a read. Digital Dollar Project urges US to take action on central bank digital currency development. Basically, another version of the email that I read, I believe. The foundation set up by crypto dad Christopher, don't know how to say that, Giancarlo, released a new version of its central bank digital currency white paper with new warnings about maintaining US leadership. Again, we read somewhere else the other day that basically they worried about China. It's all China's fault that they're going to roll out the central social credit system in Australia, possibly, and also the US, possibly. The Digital Dollar Project, DDP, released a new version of its white paper exploring a US central bank digital currency on January 18. The project expanded the paper in order to examine central banks... Hang on, what's that? Nothing. Ooh. I'm gonna have to end this one because another stream. Alright. Where was I? Expanded the paper in order to examine central bank digital currency projects internationally, though its focus is still on the United States. The DDP introduces its champion model of an intermediate, wholesale, and retail central bank digital currency in the first version of the paper, May 2020. Since that time, central bank digital projects worldwide have increased from 35 to 114, different countries. The updated DDP paper retains the core tenets of the champion model, such as those on privacy and monetary policy, while discussing the technological advancements of recent years. Yeah, great. More control, more surveillance. Funnily enough, funnily enough, is that the same? Hang on, where is it? I reckon that's the same. So if you notice the email, I'll show you guys live on stream. Now, if you check out this one here, so this here. Okay, so here is one statement up in the updated paper. It pointed out it's imperative that the US, and then if you go here, go Control F, dump it in. Ah, bingo, we have a match. The exact same talking point. Huh, funny that. Now, I didn't even know that till just then. So, oh, hang on, wait, getting ahead of myself here. Wrong. No, still match. All right, verified. So, the new ideas in the report mainly involved the author's warnings about the United States falling behind in central bank digital currency research and leadership, regardless of the final US decision on introducing a dollar central bank digital currency. The author says, quote, "It is imperative that the US government consider ways to maintain the use of the dollar in the digital global payment systems and develop a strategy related to the use of alternative payment systems." That was the point pointed out in this other email, so that's kind of funny. The DDP was established by former CFTC chairman, promote, implement a variety of pilot projects. Now, I wonder if they're going to say the pilot project is over. Let's have a quick scan. 2022 introduced a technical sandbox with Ripple, MTech, and 3 other organizations. The Federal Reserve released a paper in January 2022. Man, I thought that was this year. That was a year ago. That stated it would only pursue central bank digital currencies in context of broad public and cross-governmental support. Research has continued on a US central bank digital currency, notably the Project Hamilton, which released 2 reports and recently declared its mission completed. I actually followed these guys on Twitter just to see what they're doing. Today we are proud to release DDP's 2023 white paper. That's literally what we're talking about. And now it says here, ending in this particular article, the Fed has not yet received a signal from the government to go ahead with the introduction of a US central bank digital currency, but analysts are suggesting otherwise, and my logic is suggesting otherwise because you don't pilot things, because it takes a lot of time and effort and resources to pilot something if you're going to turn around and can it. It's like Tesla deciding, let's just pilot the new SpaceX, space rocket that can land itself, or the new spaceship. We're just piloting it and see how many times we can launch it, and testing its material strength, and testing how many times it will actually be reusable. And then it's like, after doing all that, well, we've decided to can this pilot program because we didn't like the color. It's like, hang on, that's probably not going to happen if they put all that effort into designing it and actually rolling it out and actually building it, and having the supply chains to be able to build it, having the infrastructure to be able to support all the supply chains, having the computer programs and be able to, anyway, that's just my crazy tangent for the day. This one here, now, I couldn't find this anywhere else, so again, it's this particular content. You may or may not agree with it, but this Japanese reporter was able to find our friend who was not supposed to be at what's happening, Nico? At the World Economic Forum, but lo and behold, we have him appearing, walking around. So, is he attending? Reportedly not. But is he there? Oh, guys might need to hear this. Is that coming through? Oh, hang on. Change audio for you guys. And anyone tuning in? Audio.
For a comment.
No,
We're on our way to the next thing. We're a bit late.
I
but
can
thank
just
you.
walk with
Thank
you
you.
and then ask
I
questions.
think we're gonna rush actually. But thank you. Thanks very much.
which media are you with?
I am an independent journalist from
Yeah,
Japan.
no, thank you very much.
Yes.
I have to ask.
But
No, thank you.
Thank you.
You're not CNBC. We don't talk to people like that.
But I would like to ask just one question.
You got your blouse. We know where you are. But remember, he's not at the World
I
Economic
can
Forum.
just walk and ask you.
Thank you. No, sorry, we're in a big rush. We've got so many things tonight.
But for us,
But
it's
thank
very,
you.
It's very precious moment.
I know. He's got so many people stopping that if he were to stop for everything,
Yeah, I know.
we win. That's the unfortunate. So I'm very sorry, but thank you.
But
Here,
Thank
take
you
a
for
complimentary
trying.
bug.
do you know the voice that worry about globalism?
Thank you.
There are many
Thank you.
concerns.
Nice evening. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep, that's how we all get treated. Ignored. No one cares. No questions answered. Crazy. Something doesn't feel right about this guy. Yeah, so this is actual footage. He got the snow tires on.
The change is not just
I don't know if I should play this.
the change can be shaped by us. We have to prepare for a more
Sorry,
angry
chat, this is
world.
me just watching
How
some
to
stuff.
prepare to take the necessary action to create a fairer world.
I reckon this guy should be leader of the free world.
I see the need for a great reset. So people assume we are just going back to the good old world which we had, and everything will be normal again. This is,
Central bank
let's say,
crisis is
fiction.
coming.
It will not happen.
There is only
$5.
one way this pandemic is going
Oh, this
to go.
guy.
It's going to get worse and worse and worse.
What they kept
Pay
telling us.
insufficient attention
What happened?
to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber
It got
attack
worse in a different way.
which would bring
They made it
to a
worse.
complete
More
halt
mandates, more control.
to the
This is what they're
power
talking about.
supply, transportation, hospital
FAA
services,
had to shut down their
our
planes.
society as a whole.
Civil unrest
COVID-19
is being
crisis
talked about
would
strongly.
be seen
It's quite
in
concerning.
this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack.
What do they mean? You know? Anyway, so then the next thing is we're spiraling out of control. At Davos, craze runs from Al Gore, warning of mass extinction. Globalists confronted by media tyranny. Now, this might just be coverage of it, but here we go. Citizen Free Press, they're not a bad Twitter account to follow, I think. And I will play what they have to say. Al Gore is unhinged at WEF. He's got to be better than Klaus.
melting the ice and raising the sand
Here we go.
out of the land and creating the droughts and melting the ice and raising the sea level and causing these waves of climate refugees predicted to reach 1 billion in this century. Look at the xenophobia and political authoritarian trends that have come from just a few million
trying to
refugees.
mimic
What about
Alex
a billion?
Jones.
We would lose our capacity for self-governance on this world. We have
trying
to
to copy a
act.
playbook.
So in
Doesn't
answer
exist.
to your question, I would say we have to have a sense of urgency much greater than we have yet had, and we need to make some changes.
We need to make some changes. Which are... Oh wait, you don't know because you're not invited to the World Economic Forum. Right. Oh, and remember the other day we were saying the petrodollar has experienced the death of 1,000 cuts. Here's the 201 cut. Now, analysis. Saudi Arabia to end dollar dominance in global oil trade. Operation Sandman activated. Now, I don't know what they mean, Operation Sandman. I don't know how long this is going to go for. I might play it. Let's have a look.
in the world saying, well, why do we need dollars? Why do we need to use dollars to buy oil? Why do we need dollars at all? And so global dollar demand is going to begin.
Maybe put a link in the description for this one. But yeah, again, so some people call this person a crazy Lundberg conspiracy theorist, even though he's like an actual scientist. And yet his talking points are starting to mimic and sound very much like other analysts in the field who have really good understandings of how legacy finance works, for example, and how the oil supply chains are functioning and the US dollar supply chains are functioning. But he's a crazy Lundberg. That's why all the crazy Lundbergs get put in one container, thrown away, when CNBC is allowed to thrive. The furries of the legacy finance space. Anyway, moving on. We have this here, again, the same... I think it's the same one. They're talking about John Kerry citing extraterrestrial forces that have chosen a select group of humans to run the global extermination effort. That's insane. I don't know about that. But then we have the entire population of humans was to give rise to AI, say Luciferian globalists. Okay, that also sounds insane. But then we see Flippy the burger monster rising. So I don't know. But at the same time, we do see the this guy. He's not looking too good. Excuse me. Now, I won't cover that one too much because that's a lot to unpack there. Like, there's a lot of context that needs to be added for that to be anywhere presentable to some people with hearing that for the first time. Now, this might be more palatable. 360 degree surveillance, how police use public-private partnerships to spy on Americans. They have this age of ubiquitous surveillance. There are no private lives. Everything is public. Yeah, that kind of sucks. Imagine, writing your private keys down or saying it out loud or something and some device picks it up. Who knows if that's being tracked or traced anywhere. Sounds like crazy Lundberg. Anyway, surveillance cameras mounted on utility poles, traffic lights, businesses and homes, license plates, readers, ring doorbells. So we're openly inviting into a house. GPS, the phone with the camera and everything. GPS devices, dash cameras, drones, store security cameras, geofencing and geo-tracking, Fitbits, Alexia, internet connections, internet connected world. I can't speak. Devices, internet connected devices, connected to like Skynet. That's where we're at, people. And central bank digital currencies are coming. What the actual? Okay. There are roughly 1 billion surveillance cameras worldwide. We'll have a look what source they are using here. So this one is, again, this is a brief history of surveillance cameras. Again, I'm not sure around the world, but we've got a lot of cameras everywhere. When I go down the freeway, there's a shit ton. There didn't used to be this many, but they seem to be growing in numbers. Yeah, in fact, Americans are caught on camera on average 230 times every week. That's 34 times a day. The report by Safety.com broke that number down as follows: 160 times per week while driving, 40 times a week while at work, 24 times at work, 24 times per week while out running errands and shopping, and 14 times a week through various other channels activities. Yay! I guess I'm on camera now, so that counts as one. That's insane. And it goes through. This is probably a good read. But again, we already know all this, so I won't. But that's like an actual a source data point. What do we got? With every new surveillance device we welcome into our lives, the government gains yet another toehold onto our private worlds. It does indeed. Indeed, empowered by advances in surveillance technology and emboldened by rapidly expanding public-private partnerships between law enforcement and the intelligence community and the private sector. Because sometimes the private sectors have basically intelligence arms of their own. And police have become particularly adept at sidestepping the Fourth Amendment. Oh, great. So who cares about that if you're in America? Because US tends to lead, Australia will follow, and if that's happening there, then things like this will happen probably here in Australia. Police in Jackson, Mississippi want to access live home security video, alarming privacy advocates. Civil liberty advocates warn that new surveillance tool will put people's everyday household activities under potential scrutiny by police. Imagine that. You're chilling at home and you got a camera. It's not even your camera. It's the government's camera watching you with the sound on, listening to keywords that will trigger certain recordings. That's messed up. That sounds absolutely insane, Loonbird. And that was like December 2nd, 2020. And 2 years later, we're on the verge of a central bank digital currency. Anyway, it goes on to explain that. Now, I guess I should cover the Fourth Amendment briefly. Yeah, it's literally, that's why I got that book, 1984, like the original. I think my mum read that one. It is, yeah. As law professor Advedon Y. Covers explains, a key feature of the surveillance state is the cooperative relationship between the private sector and the government. The private sector's role is vital to the surveillance, both practically and legally. The private sector, of course, provides the infrastructure and the tools for the surveillance. The private sector is also critical to the surveillance state's legality. Under the government can't just build their own. Under the third-party doctrine, the Fourth Amendment is not implicated when the government acquires information that people provide to corporations, because they voluntarily provide their information to another entity and assume the risk that the entity will disclose the information to the government. You know, when you terms and conditions, you should probably read them. But then, do you really have a choice if you really want that service, or you really want to use that, or you really want to buy that, or you really want to sign up to the internet or your mobile phone provider? Anyway, therefore, people do not have a reasonable expectation of privacy in their calling data, or potentially even their emails. As a result, the government does not normally need a warrant to... that's messed up. The government does not normally need a warrant to obtain information transmitted electronically. But the Fourth Amendment is not only a source of protection for individual privacy, it also limits government excess and abuse through challenges by the people. Now, we'll have a look on this article, because this is pretty interesting stuff, I find. The third-party doctrine removes this vital and populist check on government overreach. We have this here. Okay. Iowa Law Review, Corporate Avatars and the Erosion of the Populist Fourth Amendment. This is back in 2015 by the same individual. Well, he was cited here as saying a law professor. Like, it's not just some random person. Now, we'll go over it. We could download the PDF, but we'll just read the abstract, because I think that the whole thing will be a lot more words. Abstract. The current state of the Fourth Amendment jurisprudence leaves it to technology corporations to challenge court orders, subpoenas, and requests by the government for individual users' information. The third-party doctrine denies people a reasonable expectation of privacy in data they transmit through telecommunications and internet service providers. Third-party corporations become by default the people's corporate avatars. Corporate avatars, however, do a poor job of representing individuals' interests. Moreover, vesting the Fourth Amendment's government oversight functions in corporations fail to cohere with the Bill of Rights, populist history, and the framers' distrust of corporations. This article examines how the third-party doctrine provides unsupportable in the big data surveillance era. This article examines how the third-party doctrine proves unsupportable in the big data surveillance era. There we go, said it right. In which communicating and sharing information through third parties technology is a necessary condition of existence, and non-content data, such as internet subscriber information or cell site location information, provides an intimate portrait of a person's activities and beliefs. Yeah, it might, you know. Recognizing the potential for excessive government surveillance, scholars, courts, and Congress have endorsed corporations as one solution to execute branch overreach and privacy invasion. Right, so like when workplaces rolled out mandates when there was no government requirement to do so is an example, I think, of that overreach. But anyway, this example, where is it? This article demonstrates through government and corporations reports that companies have rarely challenged government requests for their user data. Incentives to cooperate with government surveillance, including highly profitable relationships with government regulation of companies, and statutory immunity, make it unlikely corporations will ever prove adequate avatars. That sucks. The article further documents how expansive search powers originated in England with the aid of private industry, making corporations dubious guardians of the Fourth Amendment. Yeah, do you trust them? No. The article offers, when you think about it, when you purchase from taking it back to crypto and exchange, you have to KYC. What do you think is happening? The article offers practical solutions that will increase individual agency. Not that there's, going back to that point, not that there's anything wrong with that. If you're not doing anything wrong, but then it's like, why should you be reading my mail if it's illegal to read my mail? Is kind of the whole point of that. Especially if you're not doing anything wrong. There's no reason for that. And to create a database or a file on you, why? The article offers practical solutions that will increase individual agency. First, the third-party doctrine should be limited in order to permit an expectation of privacy in some non-content data. Second, Congress should enact proprietary rights in certain personal data. In many instances, government surveillance may constitute a deprivation of that property interest, requiring notice and an opportunity to challenge the surveillance. Finally, advances in technology should facilitate individuals' selection of corporations, services, and devices that ensure notice of government surveillance and enable direct communication between the people and the government over search and seizures. And then I would like to add on top of that, basically, you have people at the WEF Davos talking about how to track and trace everyone who's vaccinated. So they're going to make more databases based on now your medical history. It's getting pretty 1984-ish, for real. Critical to this end, run around the Fourth Amendment's prohibitions against unreasonable searches and seizures by government agents is a past play that allows police to avoid public transparency requirements, open bids, public meetings, installation protocols, by having private companies and individuals do the upfront heavy lifting, leaving police to harvest the intel on the back end. So, this is good. Stingray devices, facial recognition technology, body cameras, automated license plate readers, gunshot detection, predictive policing software, so like pre-crime policing, AI enhanced video analytics, real-time crime centers. Oh my god, it gets better. It gets better, people. This is the free and open society that we all live in. Surveillance compounded real-time crime centers in the US. Hey, that looks like kind of like a traffic control center. Hey, now, Chino Chief of Police. That's the source. Oh my god, look at that. This is the grid. This is the 3 fences around us currently. The 4th fence will be the central bank digital currency. Now, yeah, man, like, there's a lot. It's happening all over the world. It's quite disturbing. Stingray, here we go, real time. That was the centers, fusion centers. Again, if this is happening in the US, it's probably happening in China, it's probably happening in Russia, it's probably happening in Australia, it's probably happening in Japan, it's probably happening in Africa, it's probably happening in anywhere. Antarctica, for all we know. Fusion centers. All of these technologies and surveillance programs rely on public-private partnerships that together create a sticky spiderweb from which there is no escape. There is no escaping. Literally. As the cost of these technologies become more affordable for the average consumer, an effort underwritten by the tech industry, encouraged by law enforcement agencies and local government boards, which in turn benefit from access to surveillance which they don't need to include. That's insane. Police in Jacksonville. Oh, that's the same one. Okay, in there. They don't need to include. So the companies do it for you and then they have to budget for it. That's amazing. In their budget, big cities, small towns, urban, suburban, and rural communities alike are adding themselves to the surveillance state's interconnected grid. Here's an idea. Build a big-ass surveillance company and then the government will provide you incentives probably to have it built because they won't tell you that they'll be using it on the back end. Anyway, what this adds up for is for government agencies, that is FBI, NSH, DHA, HS, agents, etc., as well as local police, is a surveillance map that allows them to track someone's movements over time and space. Here we go. Oh, again, same one. And hopscotching from doorbell camera feeds and business security cameras to public cameras on utility poles, license plate readers, traffic camera drones, etc. I guess what they're saying is, as you go for a drive, it's probably very easy to track someone if you have like a phone, an internet connection, and then you're probably going to pass a lot of cameras. Maybe you stop somewhere, they probably have a camera. Maybe you buy something with a central bank digital currency, it's going to flag something. Basically, you think you're free, and in reality, there could be is it even a human system tracking us all? It has been all but eliminated the notion of privacy and radically redrawn the line of demarcation between our public and private selves. We are literally the product. Over the past 50 years, surveillance has brought about a series of revolutions in how governments govern and populations are policed to the detriment of us all. Cybersecurity expert Adam Scott Wendy has identified 3 such revolutions. Now we go here, we'll check the link. We have video cameras increasingly vital for police. And goes on to, explain cameras installed in homes or businesses or on car dashboards have become one of the most essential tools in the criminal investigator's kit. They don't always capture crimes as they happen, but footage can stitch together into a timestamp map of suspects' movements, which it does, I would imagine. Now, the first surveillance revolution came about as a result of government video cameras being installed in public areas. There were a reported 51 million surveillance cameras blanketing in the US in 2022. It's probably not including mobile phones. It's estimated that Americans are caught on camera average. Oh yeah, so we covered that basically, the figures. Those ones there. Doesn't even touch on the coverage by surveillance drones, which remain relatively covert part of the policing spying. Oh, so they've actually got drones now. So you're not only being looked at by some cameras, you now have police drones. Okay, we'll just verify this. I have heard, even here in Australia, they do have this. When it comes to surveillance, watch The Watchmen. That's a fair comment. Now, I'm not a sub to this, so it looks like it's behind the paywall. Okay, that seemed to work. The Los Angeles Board voted this month to allow police department to use drones in a 1-year pilot program, whenever one thinks of this technology. Again, the pilot program, keyword here. Keep seeing it. So if it's successful and they've bought all the technology and they've figured out how to maintain it and they've figured out how to fund it and maybe they've got some budgeting put away for it, I think the pilot program will probably continue unless there's huge pushback, like legally, lawfully, peacefully, politically. The public debate about the issue and the vote by the board, a 5-member civilian oversight group, was refreshing, but are all too rare, because if you don't push back at all, you're just going to get steamrolled. Yeah, anyway, Americans deserve transparency, and Australians deserve transparency and detailed information about the surveillance tools the police are using or considering. And they're often denied it. You know, just like Klaus Schwab and the Japanese reporter, they're trying to ask some questions, but you're not getting any answers from him. Nor are we getting it from the bodies who need to be policed, because who's watching the watchers? Now, moving on. Excuse me, this one's getting a bit long-winded. Here we go. Second revolution started forging public-private partnerships. Developing this cough. What the hell? They got automatic license plate readers. You know. We'll go through this. It's getting pretty long-winded, but it is a good read if you want to read it. It has lots of source data. In closing, it's George Orwell's 1984 on a global scale. Yay! But we haven't got the central bank digital currencies yet. The fourth fence. Once we get that. Okay, so we've done that, we've done that, we've done that, done that, done that, done that. Cameras came from. It's kind of cool. And then I go to Drudge and I see, oh great, you know, if as Gerald Celente says, if all else fails, they take you to war. Keeps coming to my mind, because Russia warns nukes if defeated. I'm not sure how they'd be defeated, but you know, other countries are supporting. I don't even want to talk about that. So, 3 things that could trigger like this hardship that I keep speaking of. One of them could be a World War III type scenario, and Putin ally warns Zenit of nuclear war if Russia is defeated in Ukraine. Again, media coverage of the war, I'm not like criticizing that because I believe it's probably correct to some degree, but again, you'd have the same vectors or points of data being injected into what's happening in the war and then being reported on the media, which is probably understandable if you understand how the mainstream media works in regards to business and finance. That being said, I think that it could be a trigger for World War III if it keeps escalating the way it does. Again, I'm not a military expert by any means, so it's best to maybe read this one if you want to take some get some insight. You know, I think there was a really good article by Henry Kissinger basically saying we need to back off. Everyone needs to back off because it could trigger World War III, and that could be a very real threat. And then you would see coming to fruition the quote cyber attack and the quote loss of power, because and then you hear the preppers explaining that maybe you might want to have 6 months storable food, access to well water, your own currency, but that gets pretty dark pretty quick. Don't really want to go there, but it is worth knowing. You know, also then reminding, yes, that reminds me of yesterday when I was talking about the what's it called? Oh my god, basically the long extended period where there's no growth in the economy. It could last beyond 15 years. It could last 20 years. Now, Hexicans might be lucky because we can actually have stakes that run out as far as 15 years. The dead zone. So luckily for Hexicans, we have an asset that we can stake for up to 15 years. And at the end of the 15 years, it might be a whole new geopolitical environment. It might be a whole new financial system. And we might be, we might be very, very well off because we've been able to hold and stake for so long. If Armageddon doesn't come, which I hope it doesn't, pray for peace. Now, oh my god, why can't I say that word? Such apocalyptic rhetoric is intended to deter the US-led NATO military alliance from getting even more involved in the war. On the eve of meeting Ukraine's I shouldn't laugh, this is serious, but allies have discussed sending Kiev more weapons. So basically what they're saying is, like it's being reported that countries like, you know, UK, other allied nations are sending them weapons, and these weapons are being used. I'm not saying, oh, that's not happening. I would actually think in that case, it's probably not being reported what's really happening, because you don't want to be like telegraphing your moves to the opposition and vice versa. So it could be even worse than what we are hearing. I have heard that basically Russia's getting their ass kicked by like sentient by AI basically. But yeah, so that's one thing. Because they got like, I think they said they've got Switchblade drones. They're like small, again, not military analysts. Basically flying missiles that can sort of be controlled, I guess. And they're very precise and they're able to hit targets. But what's being reported is that they're the small ones. I've heard there's larger ones and they're absolutely crushing the Russian forces like everywhere. And that's why it's concerning, because when you see articles like this, Drudge Report, yeah, people have their opinions on him as well, but generally, again, he puts his own, I'm not even sure if it's him anymore, but this website puts together, again, its own sort of narrative where you can go through and decide what you want to view, what you want to consume, how you want to be programmed, I guess you could say. And if you see articles like this saying Russia warns nukes if defeated, you go to the source document. Source document says, you know, Reuters, you know, pretty reputable, warns that, you know, nuclear war, like that's not good for the economy. Going on further from that, in times of war, the markets have been shut down before. So we've seen, I think back in World War II, they were actually on the street. It might have been World War I, I can't remember. They were actually, the economy shut down. it was insane. Now, and this is on the back burner, you know, of the whole economy being wrecked and everything going down. Everyone's focused on the rates. Everyone's focused on the pivots. Us in cryptocurrency are focusing on, you know, I guess things like Pulse Chain and like other projects, I don't know, and how the performance of particular tokens are going and shit like that. Whereas there's a whole lot of other stuff cooking in the background that could be affecting the affecting everything, I think, because it's like in a way, it's like a supply chain of how we function. Now, yeah, they keep sending in more weapons. It says, but the explicit recognition that Russia might lose on the battlefield marked a rare moment of public doubt from a prominent member of Putin's inner circle, because they're getting their ass kicked, because they're getting their shit blown off the map by like robots, like literally big robots, not these guys, not these ones. Oh, it's almost 369. Like accurate precision. Yeah. The defeat of a nuclear power in a conventional war may trigger a nuclear war. So neither side are backing down. The defeat of a nuclear power in a conventional war may trigger a nuclear war. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, who serves as deputy chairman of Russia's powerful Security Council, said in post on Telegram. Pretty sure that's like the news outlet, not the program. Nuclear powers have never lost major conflicts on which their fate depends, said Medvedev, who served as president from 2008 to 2012, striking a similar tone at what he described as an anxious time for the country. The head of Russian Orthodox Church said in a sermon for Epiphany that trying to destroy Russia would mean the end of the world. I don't know, man. Like, seriously, like, what better distraction would there be than a war? I can't think of one. COVID didn't do it. That didn't work. So maybe a war. And maybe as a result of a war, maybe central bank digital currencies are rolled out. I don't know. Because we've got to keep everyone safe. Then the fourth fence is rolled out. And we're trapped. Because we're already trapped. We just don't... We can still at least go to the shop and have some privacy. But you're going to be ultimately trapped. Sounds crazy. But 1984 sounded crazy until we started getting everything that we're seeing now slowly develop. Now, Medvedev said NATO and other defense leaders due to meet at Ramstein Air Base in Germany on Friday to talk about strategy and support for the West's attempt to defeat Russia in Ukraine. Should think about the risks of their policy. Putin cast Russia's special military operation in Ukraine as an existential battle with an aggressive and arrogant West, and has said that Russia will use all available means to protect itself and its people. So that's pretty frank. Now, alarming time. So it's still going on in the background. So we're all looking at like the economy, cryptocurrency, but this is still cooking. This is still like Russia's getting their ass kicked, and again, I don't know, alarming time. Anyway. The Kremlin chief has sought in recent months to gird Russians for a much tougher battle while promising eventual victory in a war that leaders of the West say they will never let them win. Why? Why does this war go on, seriously? The United States has denied Russian claims that it wants to destroy Russia, while President Joe Biden has cautioned that a conflict between Russia and NATO could trigger World War III. Yes, it could. I agree with Biden on that one. But top Putin allies say tens of billions of dollars worth of US and European military assistance in Ukraine shows that Russia is now in a confrontation with NATO itself. So I agree with this data. But then again, it doesn't say what US and European military assistance is. So they're not withholding some information. For whatever reason, you can only imagine. The Cold War nightmare of both Soviet and Western leaders. Patriarch Kirill, the head of Russian Orthodox Church, said in a sermon, "We pray to the Lord that he bring the madmen to reason and help them understand that any desire to destroy Russia will mean the end of the world." Yeah, I pray for peace too, Mr. Kirill. Now, today is an alarming time. State news agency RIA quoted him as saying, "But we believe the Lord will not leave Russian land." Yeah, okay. So, Putin's foreign minister Sergei Lavrov told reporters in Minsk that Russia would do everything to ensure NATO and European Union leaders would sober up as soon as possible. And I hope that the sobering up will come. Lavrov said, we would do everything so that our colleagues from NATO and the European Union sober up as soon as possible. All right, yep, all right. So, and then it goes on, nuclear doctrine. Russia's Feb 24 invasion of Ukraine has triggered some of the deadliest European conflicts since World War II and the biggest confrontation between Moscow and the West since 1962. So this is pretty big, people. This is still going on. I hope you're ready for like economic disasters, and hopefully it's not because of some World War III type scenario, but you know, there could be other things like civil unrest, and if you're prepared for a civil unrest situation where you have storable food and you have, you know, like access to water and things like that, if God forbid should a war break out, then you would be kind of more prepared for that. I mean, I don't know, that's just my thinking. The United States and its allies have condemned Russian invasion of Ukraine as an imperial land grab, while Ukraine has vowed to fight until the last Russian soldier is ejected from its territory. It continues to go on, so no de-escalation. Since Russia invaded Ukraine, Medvedev has repeatedly raised the threat of a nuclear war, but his administration now of the possibility that Russia's defeat indicates the level of Moscow's concern over increased Western weapons deliveries to Ukraine. Again, it just keeps building and building and building. Russia and the United States, by far the largest nuclear powers, hold around 90% of the world's nuclear warheads. Asked if Medvedev's remarks signified that Russia's escalating to the crisis to a new level, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said no, absolutely does not mean that. He said Medvedev's remarks are in full accordance with the Russian nuclear doctrine, which allows nuclear strike after aggression against the Russian Federation in conventional weapons as the very existence of the state is threatened. Now, the next thing is, I guess I mentioned it because I'm covering this particular topic. We'll have a look at Wall Street Journal just briefly. No, this is the surveillance of we're in the Black Prison Planet, like literally. The Wall Street Journal, here we go, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. New FTX chief says crypto exchange could restart. Yeah, stay away from that thing. Don't touch that with a 1,000,000-foot pole. Now, yeah, Germany standoff over tanks. Yeah, we go. Blah blah blah. So one of the things, so we're looking at this, the wars. We're looking at things that could trigger bad economical events. I'll see if I can find it for you guys. If not, I'll end it here. Now, I guess I can share it with you guys because you are, I would consider friendly. Now, where is... So these things could trigger a strategic, a survival briefing, wildcards that demand disaster prep. So it sounds a bit like preppy, but... Because this triggered my memory on this. Put this in the background. Oh my God, okay. Okay, so wildcards that demand disaster prep. We have, I wonder if they break it down. Here we go. Again, another thing cooking in the background, being watched by all, because, you know, China invades Taiwan. In this event, and explains how it could happen. Biden is forced to the sidelines. This is another possibility that could trigger, you know, some instability, we call it. And then also, has World War III begun? Again, another trigger point. I didn't get to this one because I was too tired and I passed out, but a nuclear showdown with North Korea also in the cards. I was always told that if World War III was to ever to break out, it would most likely be in the Korean Peninsula or somewhere in the Middle East. At the moment, though, Ukraine is probably pretty high up there. I forgot about that. But yeah, so they're three trigger points that might... yeah. more good news. More good news. Tempted to read it, but basically the dot points, you know, it would be these types of events, and I guess you could then research what could happen. I'll read it while I got you guys, and then I got to go. But it actually goes. I'll read this too. It's like saying 15 issues of crisis survival inside us since late 2021. We've been able to identify a large number of potential disasters, natural, political, financial, and other concrete solutions you can prepare now to weather the storm. Excuse me. While many of the potential disasters may seem obvious, hurricanes, power outages, earthquakes, market crashes, other less so. Riots, social unrest, government surveillance. Likewise, our remedies are also straightforward. It goes on to say, build your own power grid with solar modules not connected to the power company grid so they don't steal your electricity. Drill artisan wells so you have your own water supply in all events. By the way, power the pump on the well from your private power grid and you'll have water and electricity independent of the government. Keep a 6-month food supply. This can be done because, you know, you really want to be depending on your government for everything. You say people who are dependent on the government can easily be coerced. If you know you're on government welfare, you could easily be coerced to central bank digital currencies. Or if you're on government water and electricity, you could be easily coerced to central bank digital currencies. Anyway, keep a 6 months food supply. This can be done with packaged goods, a freezer, a small farm or vegetable garden. Don't forget to rotate the stored food about every 6 months. Use the older food and replace with new food to maintain freshness. You can also buy freeze-dried food in sealed containers that should last for years. Apart from these techniques, keep a toolkit, flashlights, batteries, medical supplies, spare reading glasses, binoculars, sleeping bags, thermal blankets, insulated underlayers of clothing, a weatherproof outer shell, parka, not sure what that is, look it up, and a battery-powered radio with AM, FM, and SW bands. I also recommend 2 mobile phones from 2 different carriers, say AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile, in case one system is out or overwhelmed. Maybe even a satellite phone will add to that. Sturdy waterproof and windproof tents keep getting better and don't take up much more space than a golf umbrella these days. Guns and ammo are good for hunting game. Learn how to clean and dress to kill and self-defense. Have a top-of-the-line knife. I recommend a carbine marine combat knife and sheath. Ooh, that sounds nice. Keep a bicycle or motorcycle for off-road transportation and weaving your way through traffic jams and mass evacuations. Gold and silver coins will be your medium of exchange. Okay. All of that and more is fairly standard. One way to prepare is to imagine you're on a camping trip, but it will last for 6 months, not 3 days. That's the ticket. The preparation checklist is clear, but what about the crises themselves? Apart from the run of natural and financial disasters we envision, are there other crises that may hit us sooner than expected? Perhaps they're not expected at all because of the complacency or unfamiliarity with global geopolitics. Here are 4 wildcard scenarios to keep in mind. China invades Taiwan. Now we have, where is it? Just moving some things around. China invades Taiwan. In Taiwan, events could quickly be leading up to an invasion by the Communist China. Last week, China conducted a surprise invasion drill, which the People's Liberation Army said was a rehearsal for a blockade and land invasion of Taiwan. Unlike previous, they're just doing some pilot exercises, you could say, for moving their equipment into place. Now, unlike previous exercises, there was no prior coordination with the affected nations in the region or with the US. Separately, China deployed an aircraft carrier strike group east of Taiwan to deter a US-led naval expeditionary force in the event of a war. This force included 4 ships and around 60 aircraft. Of particular note was the deployment of several Xi'an H-6K bombers. Xi'an, I'm not sure how to say it. Speculation is that in war they would be deployed to launch anti-ship missiles as part of a blockade. It's not unusual for China to deploy its navy and aircraft in the Straits of Taiwan, but moving vessels east of Taiwan is an escalation of the normal display of force maneuvers. Immediately prior to the invasion rehearsal, the Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. posted a notice that visas for US citizens wanting to visit China had been suspended. This was ostensibly in relation for certain US restrictions and on Chinese citizens entering the US as a result of the widespread outbreak of COVID in China. Still, the timing is part of a larger pattern of provocation. A defense intelligence analyst, a defense intelligence agency analyst, there we go, got it, wrote in a confidential email that the Chinese would potentially land as many as 4 divisions in Taiwan within 96 hours. This invasion force alone outnumbers the size of Western forces in the region. On January 13, 2023, it was reported that the USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group was conducting freedom of navigation operations in the South China Sea near Taiwan. The Taiwanese Unification Party, successors to the Kuomintang KMT, won a National Congress election over the past weekend. Any Chinese invasion plans would rely on KMT to form a pro-communist puppet government of the kind that now rules Hong Kong. It is notable that about 40% of the Taiwanese population has no strong objection to reunification with Communist China. A Chinese invasion of Taiwan has quickly gone from a long-term dream to a short-term goal in an imminent outbreak of hostilities. Again, so this is one particular thing to keep in mind, just a scenario, you know. It's not, I don't know if it's close. I don't know if central bank digital currencies are closer, but anyway. Biden is forced to the sidelines. So we've all seen, okay. There is a Democratic plan underway to push Biden, I think Joe Rogan was talking about this the other day, to push Biden to the sidelines before his 2024 re-election campaign even gets started. The purpose of this effort is to replace Biden with some more extreme and more radical. This Democratic plan has 3 facets. Cognitive decline, physical decline, and political utility. I think I suffer from the first 2. Biden cognitive decline was obvious long before he was elected president in 2020. Even on the campaign trail in 2019, Biden mangled words, forgot his wife's name, didn't even know what state he was in, called out names of local officials who were not even present at the event, or in one case deceased, and declared he was running for the Senate when he was running for president. Since becoming president, Biden's decline has gotten much worse. He can't speak in public or to the press without written scripts. He can't even read those scripts correctly and typically slurs or garbles his words. He shakes hands with invisible friends. One theory is that he's not trying to shake hands. His hand is out looking for something like a handrail or a chair to keep himself from falling. Biden is legally non-compos mentis. As a private citizen, he would likely be under supervision of a court-appointed guardian or family caretaker. He's ripe for removal from office under the 25th Amendment to the US Constitution. Biden's physical decline is in some ways even more alarming than his mental decline. Of course, we know Biden just turned 80 and will be 82 years old if he is sworn in for a second term in January 2025. If Biden completed a second term, he would be just 86 years old at the time. Biden is not only the oldest president in US history, he is the oldest by far. Compare Biden's age to the presidents at the time of their becoming president. John F. Kennedy was 43, Teddy Roosevelt was 42, Ulysses S. Grant was 46, James K. Polk was 49. Age is not always correlated with vigor or performance. Sadly, the correlation is true for Biden. He falls asleep in meetings, wanders off verbally in the middle of a speech, cannot recall dates, quotes, or other facts, even as he makes a passing reference. Above all, Biden is physically frail. You can see him shuffling walk. He is unsteady on his feet and has stumbled on stairs multiple times. We see the memes. He is growing thinner, another sign of deteriorating physical health. One reason it may not be necessary to resort to the 25th Amendment to remove Biden from office for cognitive reasons is that he may simply die in office, as many presidents have. Now we have come to the most likely reason Biden may be removed from office, or at least denied the nomination for president in 2024. His utility is done. He no longer has value to the Democratic Party insiders. This vector has been put into overdrive, and the revelation that Biden mishandled classified documents since 2017 that is now under criminal investigation by the Department of Justice. I'll let that sink in. Yes, he served the progressive and radicals well by pushing the handouts during COVID, which led to inflation, the student loan forgiveness plan, which is likely legal, and he enacted the Green New Scam legislation in 2022 that will lead to hundreds of billions of dollars of wasted spending on non-feasible technologies such as windmills, solar panels, electric vehicles. But Biden was never more than a puppet, and he has served his purpose. It is time for a new generation of leaders, including Gavin Newsom, Michelle Obama, Kamala Harris, Hakeem Jeffries, and AOC. They have no interest in waiting 4 years after 2024. They want power now. The Democratic plan is to sideline Biden and pave the way for Michelle to run for president in 2024. Now, some conspiracy theorists have been saying this. Now, you're hearing it now from some top analysts. We'll let that sink in. Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris may run also, but they will be brushed aside for Michelle. In return for promises of plum positions in the Obama restoration regime, pick your position, Biden could be removed from office for cognitive deficiency under the 25th Amendment. Biden may die in office, as many presidents have, or Biden may be legally harassed to the point that he declines to run for re-election. The last theory is most likely to be true, but the other two are still in play. Okay, there's one other way. I'm going to wrap this one up soonish. World War III. Has World War III begun? Question mark. Has World War III already started on the platform of the war in Ukraine? The first point to consider is the number of nations directly involved. It's nonsense to say that NATO members are cheering Ukraine from the sidelines. Those countries are directly involved in supplying weapons, intelligence, money, ammunition, and boots on the ground. Polish troops are operating as mercenaries in Ukraine uniforms. US and UK special operators are inside Ukraine supplying intelligence, weapons, training, and helping with logistics. These special operators are hired as contractors by the CIA and MI6 to disguise their connections to US and UK intelligence. Poland and Lithuania are supplying sophisticated Leopard tanks to Ukraine. The UK is preparing to supply their most sophisticated tank, the Challenger 2, as well. The US is providing Bradley fighting vehicles and Stryker armored vehicles. The US is also supplying HIMARS long-distance guided missile artillery and Patriot anti-missile batteries. The West is providing Ukraine with ammunition, cash, drones, satellite imaging, signal intelligence, SIGNET, and human intelligence, HUMINT. Russia has been no slouch when it comes to enlisting allies and mercenaries. The Wager Group, a privately owned mercenary army, has been on the front lines near Soledar and Bakhmut. Russia is getting drones from Turkey and Iran. Fighters are arriving from Syria. China is providing financial support and offering technology that helps Russia to build its weapons and continue its missile attacks. Physical warfare has occurred in Poland, a misguided Ukrainian missile. Belarus, also a misguided Ukrainian missile. Russia, drone attacks on air bases inside Russia with nuclear weapons nearby. And Germany, the sabotage of the Nord Stream pipelines. There have also been naval battles on the Black Sea. The country is now directly involved in the war in Ukraine with weapons, money, intelligence, mercenaries, or financial sanctions include the US, UK, Germany, France, Poland, Lithuania, Canada, Australia, Ukraine, Russia, China, Syria, Iran, Turkey, Japan, Romania, Belarus, and Moldova. These countries span 4 continents. The economic ramifications are global. If this is not a world war, it's not clear what is. So this one. Final one. A nuclear showdown with North Korea. North Korea is one of the most repressive dictatorships and the most secretive states in the world. It is ruled by a 3rd generation member of the Kim family, Kim Jong-un. He is the son of former ruler Kim Jong-il and the grandson of founder of the Kim dynasty, Kim Il-sung. The political ideology of North Korea is called Juche, which is roughly translated as self-reliance. In fact, North Korea is simply a one-man dictatorship with no rule of law. North Korea has conducted over 147 missile tests since 1984. The vast majority of those have been short-range and intermediate-range ballistic missiles, IRBMs. Several tests of intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, capable of reaching US territory have been observed, but analysts are divided on whether these were stripped-down missiles that demonstrated range but did not have the capacity to carry heavy payloads. Despite some limitations, North Korea's progress in missile technology is undeniable. North Korea's last nuclear explosion was conducted in November 2017. Nuclear tests were then suspended based on a combination of threats of retaliation by President Trump and Trump's willingness to meet Kim Jong-un personally, which he subsequently did. The suspension of explosive tests did not mean the suspension of further research and computer simulations. No doubt North Korea is in a position to detonate another stronger nuclear device today on short notice. The latest available intelligence suggests that 2023 will be a breakout year for North Korea. They conducted missile launches in 23 days in 2022, including multiple launches on some of those days. These tests include IRBMs, ICBMs, and hypersonic missiles. This tempo is expected to involve even more tests in 2023. Critically, North Korea appears to be on the verge of a nuclear explosive test for the first time in 6 years. Kim Jong-un recently predicted an exponential increase in the DRPK's nuclear capacity in 2023. Okay. The combination of Biden's weakness, North Korea's aggressiveness, and Russian and Chinese strategic acumen make North Korea a time bomb waiting to explode. The dangers are not limited to the tests themselves. Other dangers include the chance that an accident may happen to result in a missile accidentally hitting South Korea or Japan, or a radioactive payload breaking up mid-air creating a dirty bomb effect. In such cases, retaliation from South Korea, Japan, or the US may be expected, with further escalation by Russia or China. That's why if World War was ever to break out, it would be most likely on the Korean Peninsula or in the Middle East somewhere. Any one of these scenarios, an invasion of Taiwan, Biden's removal from office, a World War III in the making, or a North Korean nuclear showdown could crash markets, lead to social unrest, or result in cyber warfare attacks that disable critical infrastructure. We'll let that sink in. These are the wild cards that will make your disaster preparation more valuable than ever. That's enough food for thought. For now. The real point is that major crises can emerge from local or global corners and can be expected or completely unexpected. The best advice is something I learned in the Boy Scouts 60 years ago. Be prepared. Be prepared. We'll be back next month with more analysis of what types of catastrophes to expect and super guides and how. Yeah, okay. So that's it. So I hope anyone hears that and pays attention. Yeah, this is not for profit. I'm just freely openly sharing this. And for anyone who wants to listen, you heard it here. Definitely not first though. That's about it. We could check the price of Hex, but I don't really want to. We're still waiting for Pulse Chain. We're still waiting for updates for V3. And I really think central banks still are scared to death of what cryptocurrency can do. We see the markets down broadly. What else? Politics. We're seeing prime ministers step down because they're running out of gas. And we're seeing top Fed official sees inflation decline as notable improvement. Ooh. So, what is coming next? We're going to have to stay tuned. Okay, thank you all. Signing out.